Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis, and so I'm very grateful, very humbled to be joined by Mitch Durden from Mitch Durden Mentality. Got it out. Mitch is awesome. My brother actually follows him on Instagram. I won't, he sort of, actually, no, I will share it. My brother, Mitch put up an Instagram story and he wanted to collab with some more people. My brother just chucked my name in there and Mitch and I started messaging and his story's quite similar to mine. He's a bit younger than me. He's 20, how old are you? 21?
22.
22. So Mitch has had an awesome story already. He's only 22. He's a young buck. So looking forward to this chat today. Mitch is going to share his story and we'll go off on some other tangents. So Mitch, welcome to my show. How you doing? Thank you for coming on. This is going to be good.
Thanks so much. It's so awkward. Not awkward. It's so different to be on the other side of this. Usually this is me asking the question for the people out there. I've got my own podcast. So this is different for me, but I love it. It's a good opportunity for me to learn, and I get to listen to my own voice even more, which is great. So
yes. No, Mitch has his own podcast. We'll put all the links to that in the bottom in the show notes. You can go away and follow Mitch, and
legend.
we share similar things. So Mitch, what we'll start with today is how did you get to where you are now? What happened? Did you have a rock bottom moment? I'm going to ask about 4 questions, but how did you get to where you are now? And what sort of was the catalyst to change your life from where it was heading to where it is now? So looking forward to hearing about that.
Oh, how long you got? How long we got? We're ready to strap in?
Yeah, mate, let's go.
22 years old. I put it back to about 17, 18. I was in a horrible place. I considered myself to have depression, have anxiety. I was addicted to porn, was addicted to weed, was addicted to partying, going out, external pleasures. I was addicted to other things rather than myself, let's say. And I got to a night, I got to the end point, I got to a night where I actually have this tattooed on my finger. It's the date of the night that I tried to attempt to take my own life, which was my catalyst and my turning point to wake up and realize that there is way more to this life than there should have been at the time. So as much as that was probably the darkest time in my life, I'm so grateful for it. And it's why I have it tattooed on my finger, because without it, I would not be here. I would not be on the Nathan Francis podcast. I would not be talking to you about this. So for me, that was the catalyst, was going through the shit being the technical term, right? Going through the shit to get to the other side where I am now. Because without it, I thought that that was how life was supposed to be, until I went through that and then started to experience some things like happiness, pride, emotion, success, fulfillment. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is way better. I want to live like this rather than being stuck in a hole and pretty much having no will for life. But I mean, that goes into many categories for me. All comes into fitness, all comes into the mind, all comes into feeling in myself and being proactive and bringing myself with a sense of pride. But I could talk about this all day, man. I think the catalyst for me was that night, let alone, but also that experience, that journey to be in that position, because without it, you wouldn't be seeing this. So
what a comeback story, man. How good is that comeback story? We'll talk about that dark time. So what were you going through at the time that sort of that night, where you were about to, thank you for sharing that, by the way, that you were about to take your own life. That's something that is quite powerful, bro. But what led you to that point? What were you like? What was going on with you in that time?
My mindset was horrible. Let's leave it let's categorize the whole situation that my mindset was horrible. However, I was so sad all the time. I was finding my worth in things that could be taken away from me, from women, from notification, from likes, from external highs, from weed or alcohol. So many external pleasures, everything that could be taken away from me and not rock solid that I could keep with me. And there was one night I actually met up with a chick, and it was like, I don't know what it was. It was supposedly like a one night stand situation, but I drove home like feeling so shit. And I definitely would say in the weeks and the months previous to that, I was having suicidal thoughts. I was having extreme dark negative emotions. But I think that one for me, I just felt so shit about myself. that I was looking for these external pleasures. And then when they didn't go right, as to say, like I said, they just got taken away from me. And it was like my worth was just being based off things that were never ending, a fluctuation of sometimes good, other times, most of the time is bad. So that night, I had the song on. I can actually recall what the song is. It was a Triple J cover by I forget who actually sings it, but it's called Hey Ma, and it's like it's quite a sad song. So whenever that comes up for me now, it's a deep but also grateful moment. But in the car alone, that was the most eyes on the prize, I say, that I had ever been. I was like, okay, this is it. It's gone. So luckily, this is about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was driving, and I had a friend who was awake, and she's still in my life to this day. She's an absolutely beautiful woman. She was there for me. Gave her a call. She pretty much slowed me down, talked me out of it, got her to come and see her, and that changed me. And I honestly think from that day forward, it was, as much as that was extremely tough for me, that's what I needed. And it's hard to sit there and say that someone needs to go through that, but like in comparison to where I am now at 22, amongst others and amongst just my own basis of that, looking back, it's changed my life, man, for every positive aspect of my life that I mentioned before: my health, my wealth, my mindset, my success, my ability to serve and give back to others. Without it, take that all away. So
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
And you even had the courage to ask for help, because a lot of men have that program of helps weak, helps a sign of weakness. It's, you reached out, you put your hand up and said, hey, I need some help. And that's awesome. You had that friend there, man. That's awesome that you had someone there you can turn to that helped you sift through the darkness, bro. That's really powerful, man. So kudos to you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
So from here, like you said, you were addicted to porn and all those sort of things. It's very, very, for people that have listened to my story, it's very similar. I didn't have the deep suicidal thoughts, but in terms of seeking gratification from women, from different things, our stories are very similar. Addicted to porn. It's interesting, man, because when I was sifting, I was 22 and still living that lifestyle until I was 26. So you've caught up, you've done well to catch it early, which is great. But what drove you to be so how do I put this? How did you get to that point where you were so not worthy that you got to the point where every time you were going to get drunk or you felt this sort of way, you're just going to go straight to a woman? How did you get to that point? Like, it's powerful with you.
I think going through school, especially when I link this back to school, I had a very negative self-worth and a very negative mindset about myself. I actually recall sometimes just like looking at myself in the mirror and like saying the most negative shit about myself. Like, this is when I was probably like 15, 16. But there was also a big part that came from school that it was like, if I wasn't sleeping with X amount of chicks, I was not man enough. If I was not doing this, I was not man enough. If I was not. So to look back and correlate that to now, it's like, okay, when does that end? Like when do you get to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? I've slept with this many chicks now. I feel fucking awesome. I'm the man, right? For me, that doesn't happen. So for me, I had a horrible self-worth in the fact of, and I grew up with not a flat stomach, and I constantly compare myself to other men out there and be like, I'm different. And I think I connotated that in a very negative way, especially in the form of a body image way. So growing up from that pretty young to then trying to be a man of such, and for what I learned from school is to get with this many people, receive X many, whatever. It was a never-ending battle, right? It was a never-ending chase because that fulfillment cycle was constantly being emptied and then me trying to chase it again. So to answer your question, the self-worth, I think honestly just came from looking at myself as extremely different to others in a way and taking that as a negative approach to now I take as a positive. and catastrophizing what the standards of a man should be. Definitely. So I think, like I said, I was trying to capture the flag that was just constantly moving further and further away. And when you're also in that school scenario, it's like, okay, who's the top dog? Like, who can do it the most to then be the alpha for me? So yeah, there's a couple of things there, but those in particular, I think, what drove my self-worth just to be extremely, extremely rock bottom.
Sound like you were trying to find that with another woman though too, because that's something I was doing as well. Yeah.
Then
you're dumping your stuff onto the woman, and that's not fair either.
Yep.
And then she's
Yep.
Yeah.
It was pretty rare, and anybody from school could tell you, it was pretty rare that I was out of a relationship.
Yeah, okay.
Because the relationships gave me worth, felt like the man, had made me happier, made me more fulfilled, whatever. And then you get out of the cycle, it's like, oh. And there was this one woman in particular, probably like my 17, 18-year-old, that I reckon I went back to about 5 or 6 times. All me breaking up with her every single time, but then I'd go back like 5 or 6 times because I'd be out of it, lose it, and be like, oh, I feel like shit. What's going on? My worth is not being fulfilled by this external source. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, how can we get that back?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting correlation. But yeah, I think what I've been trying to learn and doing my best to learn over the last few weeks, I think I spoke to you about, I recently got out of a relationship about 4 weeks ago, is not needing that cup to be filled. Yeah. And bringing it from my self-worth rather than bringing it from an external source.
Find that self-worth and that self-love for yourself first.
That's it, right? Because then also, for me, I've never experienced to be with a partner where I am like truly in love with myself. So I think I've I don't want to say wasted, but I don't think I've lived and experienced the true potential of what a relationship can be for me, because I've always had this need and fulfillment to be filled by other people instead of bringing that for myself. And now going on to that, yeah, completely different. Completely different.
And when you find that for yourself, you'll find that the right woman will come in and she'll be like a soulmate or like a twin flame. She'll be like your other half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty powerful to know. It's interesting, man. So for me, porn was my biggest thing. And obviously chasing women, for those that know my story. Yeah. I'll share mine on your podcast one day. It'd be good. But I was just going to ask you about porn, man, because porn's the underlying thing, right? You get addicted to the porn, and then your perception of sex and love's like completely destroyed and fabricated 100%. Because it's not real sex. It's not real love.
Yep.
Did that play a factor in relationships too, bro?
100%.
Yeah.
My last relationship was probably the one where I really started to become conscious of it.
Yep.
It was, I was not happy in the relationship, and deep down inside, I knew that for a long time. And to fill that void, occasionally I would watch porn, and it's like completely different from when I was younger. It may be once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, a couple of weeks, whatever. But I'm yet to consider porn as cheating as such, but it's very close, personally, right? Because when you look into these things and they're right in front of your face, it's almost like you're imagining yourself with this other person.
100%.
And then when you go out into your daily life and see other people, it also changes your reality on the way that you depict women, right?
Yes.
So, but the problem that I find with it is it is just fucking everywhere.
Isn't it?
It is everywhere. Like, I had Twitter for a long time. I can't have it anymore, dude, because you go into comment sections, you go into just random posts, and it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, right? Men get this comfortability factor of being like, oh, I don't have to go talk to women, I can just go watch porn. And then after you do it, it's like, oh, I feel like shit, I should have gone and talked to a woman instead. It's a very interesting cycle.
Because you're talking about it too. It's like this quick fix, right? You put in the hard work. You can put in the hard work to get a woman as well. But with porn, it's easy, right? You just look at the screen, do your thing, you're done. And then you deplete yourself of all your energy. It's interesting. And it's really powerful. And with the mindset too, I had the exact same perception as women as you did. Sexual objects, purely from porn, bro.
Yeah.
100%. I couldn't even have female friends, bro.
Yeah. Still something I'm going through, man. As much as And personally, bro, you can differ on this, but I still think as a man that experiences the lizard brain, for people that aren't familiar with the lizard brain, it's almost like the monkey brain, the primal male in you. I think to some extent, whenever you even have a female friend, there will still always be some thoughts in you that be in sexual desire, right? Because in a way, that's our need of life. One of our core needs of life is to mate and create relationships. However, I think when you've got porn induced in that, it's just like, okay, who can I get? Who can I get? Is she breathing? Is she there? Like, how can I get it? Right?
Amplifies it, doesn't it?
That's it. So, yeah, it's an interesting contrast between it, because I think when you've got your mind fixated on porn, especially like every day, I think it takes away from your ability to be who you truly are.
100%.
100%.
It does so much to the human mind, watching that stuff, mate, and breaking free from it, you know. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. It is not.
And how did you break free from that? Because porn's like the underlying thing. I find a lot of the relationship issues and stuff that I had was directly related from porn, but it was deeper than porn. But for you, like, how did you break free from porn? Was it actually just realizing, hey, look, I want to find out who I truly am, and this thing's holding me back from finding that out, potentially.
I'm not going to be that guy to go out there and say that I've completely culled from my life. I'll be straight up honest.
It's a process, bro.
Absolutely, right? It's a massive process, especially when it's been something that I've relied on for a long time. I think the relationship now from myself, between the fact that I was in a relationship versus out, the mindset is completely different. Because I think when you're in a relationship, it's like, oh, I can still go and get sex, right? As it's like, but now that I'm out of a relationship, and as bad as that may make me sound, I'd rather be honest and true to myself. When you're out of a relationship, for me, if I was to go do that, it's been like, why the fuck would I do that when I'm tall, handsome, good looking, strong, and I can go out and talk to a woman and make me feel like I've earned it, rather than looking at a screen where it's free to feel like I haven't earned anything, and then to release and retent from an energy, like you said, that it's just wasted. You know, so for me, that's the mindset right now. I think for me, for anybody out there listening, because I know this is a massive thing that men struggle with. If you're still struggling to go through the process, what I would recommend to you first is to watch it without releasing.
Yeah.
If that's possible, right? And it is possible.
It is hard, though.
It is. It is. I did that, of course, right? It's natural. It's right. Oh, okay. Naked woman. Right? Sexual attraction, whatever. Feelings come up.
Let them come
If
up.
you can watch it without releasing, that's your first step. That's the first step. And then when you realize that, be like, you know what? Do I actually want to be doing this instead of going out there and finding a partner to actually experience the feelings with that person?
Yeah.
And I think it's balanced, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that you have to never watch porn for the rest of your life, right? Because it's also in movies sometimes. It's also like, it is sometimes out there in the world. I think everything comes with balance, right? But if you're watching porn every single week, every single day, every second day or whatever, map this out, write it down as to how much you think that is going to negatively affect you out there being with women and your ability to actually approach and get women. Because it's an easy fix, right?
Powerful.
It's an interesting one.
It is, man. And it is a journey, because I know for me, when I was going through my porn journey, it took me a fucking long time to break free from it, because I was exposed to porn as a child, mate. So I'm a bit older than you. So the internet first came in, internet porn came in about 2005, 6. And I was only 9, 10 years old, and I was onto it. You know, pop up on the computer, bang. And it was like 20 years of porn watching, bro. And it was 20 years of the perception of the women that I had. Such a hard thing to break. And for any young man out there, there's so many young men our age group that are hooked on this stuff that you can't just turn your back on, because the draw is so strong. Like, the part of the mind, the sexual programming runs so deep that you'll just be drawn straight back to it. It's like a resistance thing. Like, if you can last a week without it, that that's awesome. Then you fall back. The resistance is just going to get longer and longer and longer and longer and longer as you go.
Yeah. 100%.
That's how I sort of broke free from it. It's like, well, I gave myself a week, pat on the back, didn't beat up on myself. All right, now I'm going to go 2 weeks. Then I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 4. Just those baby steps, man. Even if it's just one day. If someone's so addicted, one day. Let's go one day without it. See how you feel.
That's it. Yeah. Everyone's at a different stage, right? And
100%.
I can totally concur with you. I remember being 8 or 9 when I first discovered it.
Yeah.
And then obviously as a small young child in a monkey praise, oh my God.
You got no idea what's going on with you, do you?
No idea what's, and then all of a sudden you go a little bit further. You go a little bit further, you go a little bit further, and you're like, holy shit, this is a never-ending field.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we started growing up, then OnlyFans became a thing.
That's right.
All these other things, it's like, oh, I know this person. That's kind of interesting. Now, I haven't gone back into it for a long time, bro, but I spent a lot of money on OnlyFans back in the day.
Not the only one.
A couple of years ago. A lot of money. And you look back at that being like, holy shit, how much money could I have saved?
Yeah.
But also, like you said, give yourself a pat on the back. Without me doing that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Exactly.
So it's a process. And like you said, I'm a firm believer of going through the shit, technical term, to get to the other side. But, you know, when you become conscious of it, it's like, okay, how can I change this? Do I really want to be that man that is here every night going to look at a fake reality, which then changes my depiction of women and is going to stop me from going out there and mating, finding females, just talking to females, or even having friends as females. You know, it's, for me, relationships are one of the most important parts of my life, and porn put a brick wall on that for a long time.
Same here. Because I only wanted sex. I didn't want anything else. I was so closed off from love that I didn't want anything else. And it's like, you break free from porn. It's like, well, that's not even real love. They're actors on a screen. Like, they're getting paid to do that, and you're watching. Like, that's such an energy to just hand away to actors on a screen. It's like, we can get that in real life. We got to work for it, though.
That's it. That's it. And that's the thing. How much better would you feel if you were to release one night watching porn, or go out there in the day, talk to a beautiful woman, go on a date, and then maybe, you know, depends what it's for. Maybe the first date,
just try.
You release. And how much better would you feel in comparison to releasing from an external source that we said, like actors that are giving you nothing and are also going to change the way you think and become as a man. Right? It's a crazy concept. And this is a lot easier said than done, right? It is, especially for a lot of people, it can be very challenging. It can be very difficult. What I would be asking you, however, is your worth defined on the amount of time watching porn or the amount of women you have in your life?
Good question.
That would be the question I would be asking young males out there, or any males at all that, you know, are struggling with porn. It's a very big thing. It's massive. It's always going to be there. Sex work has always been a thing, but now I think we've come to a stage with OnlyFans, with the other ones. You've got a couple of other ones. I can't remember what they're called. Fansly or Private, whatever.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many, right? And it'll always be a thing. So how can you separate yourself from other men to stand out amongst that group of, I'm going to use the term low value man here, because I think if you're using porn as a substitute for actual women, I would consider that a low value man tendency. However, do you want to be that man that's going to use that substitute instead of going out there, having a sense of pride, a sense of worth, to go and earn these actual intimate feelings that you feel? It's a very interesting concept, bro.
It is. But you can use that in all terms of your life, not just with the porn, not just with the woman. It's like, it's everything. It's not just that. Because once your self-worth goes up, mate, you're worthy of anything and you're worthy of it all. And once you know and feel that and believe that, like, you're any young male out there, you can achieve anything. You know, you're not confined to porn. You're not confined to these things. You're so much more than that. You came here for more than that. It's remembering that too, isn't it, bro?
That's crazy. I actually read an article yesterday that it was like, if you're struggling to not watch porn, who was it? There was some country that used porn as a manipulation technique. And, you know, it makes sense, right? Because you're giving men, weak men, this ability to be almost controlled by something that they will do anything for. especially porn. It's like man, like low value men especially will do anything for porn and will do anything to go and get a quick release to actually make it easier, not go out and actually have some worth and have some drive to actually go and find a woman. Right. This all changed for me when I started working on myself and working on what actually defines me as a man, especially women. When you can have the ideology and the belief in yourself that you don't actually need women, bro, they attract like mosquitoes, because you got to think from a woman's perspective. It's like, okay, most men, wherever I'm going, they're usually looking at me. So maybe 1 in 10 will come up and approach me. So for us, it's like, how do you stand out amongst those ones already? So if you can sit there with a sense of, you know what, I'm fine with the way I am and I love myself. However, if a woman comes along, that's great. That's extra added bonus for me. Things with women, the one thing that I will give to young men is they can feel things.
Oh yeah,
right?
they can.
Very emotional creatures.
And they talk too.
100%. So right, they can feel. So they can feel a man that is confident, retented for semen, first of all.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yep. And knows that he is the fucking man. So that's what I would encourage young men to be or any man, sorry for that. I keep saying young man. I'm a young man, so that's the mark I go for. Any man, that's what I'd be recommending them to work on, at their worth first, because once you do that, like you said, Nathan, every part of your life just goes up a little bit. You can work on everything a little bit more in the day, but work on yourself. People will attract you.
They will.
And women.
It's interesting you say that, because on a subconscious level, women know if a man's weak. Women know if a man's watching porn. Women, you're right. Women feel things. They have an intuition. We all do, but theirs is, it's like that instinct, and they know. They do know. You're right.
I think it's that feminine. I think it's that the feminine relationship, right? I think every being, what's the word I'm looking for? Skips in and out of a masculine and feminine energy, right? But being, as a generalization, women usually tend to be more emotional creatures, being the more feminine energy. So that feminine energy, the more emotions, like I said, they can feel things, especially when they're going out there and having all these eyes on different men. It's like, okay, I know I could see you might be all right. You might, probably not, but they can feel it. So what I would do is go and, like I said, work on it and have that feeling. Put your shoulders back, put your head up, and walk around like you're the fucking man.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got to stand out in amongst a world full of low value or mediocre level men.
That's it. From a heart-centered place too. No
100%.
ego involved. Yeah.
No, it's all out of love, right? But also
100%.
at the same time, it's you against you. That's something that I had to learn for a long time.
Yeah.
It is me against me. But also, I want to be the best version of myself that I can go out there in the world to. So whether that becomes to women, whether that comes to health, wealth, success, whatever. That's what I aspire to be. And that's why I can grow so much with personal development.
What led you down the path of personal development? I know you sort of had that moment, right, where you're going to take your own life. What led you down this path of like facing your shadow, facing yourself? What sort of drove you that way?
In this process, after this process of attempting to take my own life, I came to a very big stump in my life where I questioned my sexuality very, very hard. From the point of, I was watching porn every day, smoking weed every day. Like I said, all the external pleasures. And eventually, I didn't enjoy porn anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, and this actually is great for me to realize, because this ties in relation to having women as my worth and happiness, right? Because if I didn't have that, it was like, oh my God, I'm not a man. So this was a year and a half. It still comes up sometimes every once in a while.
It will, yeah.
Or it does, for sure. I like the fear behind me being gay or questioning my sexuality was very, very, very difficult for me for a long time, as most men will probably go through at some stage in their life. But for me, when my worth was so heavily triggered on women, and my happiness would come from women, my sense of fulfillment would come from women, when that got taken away from me, it took me almost down further. So I was very blessed that my degree, I always say it fell in my lap. And what I mean by that is, like, it just came out of nowhere. I honestly, like, I'm a very big believer that the universe can throw some throw some tricks at you sometimes. And I think
Mhm.
that was the one. So my degree, for the people watching, is a master's in life coaching. It's in neuropsychology, in hypnosis, and a bunch of other different coaching and psychological practices. So for me, I was in this very dark place, and all of a sudden I started being fulfilled with these ways and these techniques to help other people. How can I help other people? And I'm like, hold on, let's use this for myself first. Like,
100%.
first of all, fuck that for a little bit. Let's use this on myself first, and then we'll see if I want to go and help other people. So my degree was honestly one of the best things that ever put into my world, because without it, not only would I be in the place where I am now, where I can help others, but the person that I was then was transformed with the ability to learn about how the brain works. Because I figured out so much shit. I'm like, oh, this is why this neural circuit is running. This is why this emotion has been stuck with me for so long. This is why I'm in the place that I'm in right now. So to learn about that first, I fell in love with personal development, man. It was like like I said, the biggest blessing ever, but to actually learn not only about myself, but other people, I just fell in love with it, man, because I was at a time where, I wasn't heavily invested in myself, considering the self-worth, considering the external pleasures I was looking for. So when that came into my life, I'm like, there's a way out, and there's a way, and I fell in love with it. Like just the strategies and just learning about things without even putting them into place changed my life, man. And I use them for myself. To be honest, I don't use the strategies that I use for other people enough of myself to this day. I don't know what that is. I think sometimes I have a lot more care in other people than I do in myself, which is something I'm learning on, and that's interesting to put out there.
You'll get there.
That's it, right? And I'm working on it every day. But that was where that started for me, man, the catalyst. That's when I started mentally working on myself. That's where my ability in the gym really, really kicked off, because I started to learn about the mindset, dude. The mindset for me is the single most important, and I consider myself with nearly the strongest mindset of any 22-year-old out there. And in a way, I would rather believe that than not believe that. And that's how important my mindset is. It's not out of ego, it's out of my worth that I put out there for myself. So everything for me changed, man, when I started learning about the mind, what I could do. I played basketball for a long time. The ability in sport and in the gym, when I learned about mindset and how important it is through hypnosis and everything, my athletic ability went through the roof. My strength went up. My body's recovery went up. Like, I cannot describe to you the blessings that I had from learning about that. But in terms of, like you said, the personal development route, that's where that all kicked off for me, was my degree.
Sound like you had to have that rock bottom moment. Well, not had to have it. Sounds like maybe you did. Maybe you had to have that rock bottom moment to find your purpose again, to find what it is that you wanted to do. And then just fell in your lap. Same thing happened to me, bro. I had a rock bottom moment too. And then this sabotage coaching program fell in my lap too. It's just interesting, isn't it? I know I often say to people too, you don't have to have these rock bottom moments, but sometimes a person has to have that rock bottom moment to find what it is they truly want to do. And they don't have to find it. It'll just come to them.
And I'm gonna jump in here, Nathan, because it's something that my brother has because I want the people listening right now to very much benefit from this.
Yeah.
There's one thing my brother asked me the other day, and he said, where would you be without that negative part of your life?
Exactly.
So that thing that's coming up, you listening to my voice right now, whoever this is, you listening to me right now, that part that's in your life that you very much despise, or that annoys the shit out of you, or that makes you feel like shit, where would you be without it? And what is it doing for you right now? Because like I said, I help men get their shit together, right? Shit being the technical term, but that shit, right? Without it, there is no moving forward. So sorry to jump in there, Nate. I think that's very
powerful,
important for
bro.
everybody
You're
listening
right.
out there, bro.
No, you're 100% right with it, that though, mate. It's spot on. Because for such a long time, I was a lot like you, but I really, really resented that old version of me that was doing the things you were doing. I resented that person for such a long time. I had to go back and forgive myself and be like, hey, I'm about to write an awesome comeback story. I'm just going to go give that guy in the nightclub a hug and be like, hey, bro, I'm just going to take you and we're going to do the most epic thing. It's like me and that guy, I just picked him up and said, mate, you've written my awesome story. I forgive you. I love you. It's so powerful, bro, to go back to that moment and be like, I love you, Nathan. Like, just that moment, like, set the path for me too.
That's
just forgiving myself for what I'd done in the past.
It comes down to ability. We also talk about, it's called inner child work, and it's like
that's what that was.
Right. So for the people listening, anywhere from 0 to 7, you're a sponge, right?
Yes.
Anything you do, you watch, you listen to from your parents, your role models, you'll just absorb everything. It'll be unconscious. Then from 7 to 14, it's role models. Whatever they do, you're going to do. Then after that, it becomes social. So for about 18 years of your life, you're a literal unconscious sponge, right? So that's why when you develop a little bit in a conscious brain, you can look at that and go back. But it's so important, Nathan, it's something that I haven't done yet, bro, and I'm glad you brought this up, is to go back to that moment, the defining moment, the catalyst, and be like, you know what? I love you, man. Without you, I would not be to the person I am today.
100%.
And without it, I would not have the purpose, the impact, the drive, the health, the wealth, the success without that I am where I am today. So that's, dude.
And I'll share the strategy I used. I wrote myself a letter. I wrote that version of me a letter. And if anyone's watching on YouTube and Rumble on this platform right now, I wrote this guy a letter. I wrote him a letter.
It's very different.
He does look different. I went back to that night and I wrote him a letter and said, bro, I'm about to write you an amazing comeback story.
That's really
And I cried with that guy because that guy went through, he was just doing what everyone else was doing. He didn't understand about this part of the mind. He understand the programming. He was just programmed to be this certain way. Stand before you a cleaner version and let's write his story.
That's so wholesome, man. I've actually, it's interesting you brought that up because I do resonate with what I said before. I find myself a lot of the time spending more time on other people in comparison to myself. And I did that for many years. So love that. And I think everybody has their own model, right? Everybody has their own way of doing things. It's why an artist will have their own sound. It's why a coach will have their own method. It's why a chef will have his own style of food, right? But it's all about the way you and me can sit here and talk to someone for a long time, but it's the ability for that person to go out there and make their own style.
Exactly.
After the guidance, right? Because every person has their own map of the world. When people say to me, and I learned this in my degree, when people say to me, I know how you feel, no, you fucking don't, right? Because you have not been what I've been through. You have not experienced what I've been through. You not have grown up. The sponge that I have grown up with is not the same sponge that you have grown up with. So when we're in a blessed position, Nathan, where we can talk to people and be a coach or a mentor, right? But it's all about them going and developing their own style and their own way that they can deal with it as part of the guidance that we bring with it. Because then we're not the ones that sit with them and then they go home and decide, oh, am I going to watch porn tonight? Am I going to drink tonight? Am I going to go get high tonight, right? We're not the ones that sit with that. It's up to them. So I think it's so important to find your own style, find your own methodologies, Jesus, methodologies that work for you, find your own methods that work for you. And that's going to resonate the most with you. So
exactly. But we'll share with you what worked for us and what didn't work for us to help you not make the same mistake. That's exactly right. You find what it is that you want to do. It's like, well, I wrote myself letters. You might want to write yourself a song or a poem or something. You might want to draw a picture. You might want to just meditate and just bring that, like I did that too, just bring that version in and just look at him and hold him. You might want to do that, or her. You might want to, there's so many ways that you can do this without just, this one thing changes it. Well, that one thing may not work for Tom, Dick, and Harry down the road.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's every person that's successful. It's such a blessing if you can to go and pick their brain, because there's no one you're going to talk to that will have the same success story. Everybody comes from a different experience or a different pain, different trauma points, different emotions that they've experienced. There's a reason why you are the one person in the world, right? There are I think we're up to 8 billion or whatever it is. I am the only Mitch Durden, right? You were the only Nathan Francis, and you were the only person listening to this right now. I am the only Mitch Durden that has the love that I have, the ability to be my truest self that I have, and the ability to give what I can give to the world in comparison to what this other bloke can do on social media or this other influencer puts out there. I am the best gift that I can give to the world because I am the only gift there is. Right?
Powerful.
Took me a lot of work to get there, man. Like I said, took me a lot of work. But once you realize that, I used to constantly compare and try and be better than other people. But how can you be better than anybody else when you are truly yourself and you are in this world to do what you want to do and not anybody else? That's your gift back to the world. And that's why we all have different skills and different talents. And that's why I'm here to help people with a similar story than me.
100%. That's
Welcome to my TED
like a
Talk.
mic, mate. Just mic drop that.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Just walk straight out of the room. Podcast over. That's so powerful, man, because I don't know where to take that now. It's like, yeah, I'm speechless because it's so true. And it's like, you're the only one and you'll be the only one. There's not going to be another you. You know what I mean?
Yep. There's never another one.
No.
Never going to be another one. There will never be another Nathan Francis. There will never be another. Oh, I was about to say the bald-headed kickboxer's name, but we can't get cancelled. There will never be another Mitch Durden. There will never be another Arnold Schwarzenegger. There will never be I'm just spitballing here, right? And that's what makes them so special. They've found what they're good at, what their purpose is, and what they can give to the world. So if you're struggling to do that, go out there and start writing, first of all, what your strengths are, what you can actually give to the world. Write 5 each night, another 5 in the morning. Because then you have the ability to go, oh, I'm good at this, so I could go down this path, but I'm also good at this. And then, God, I'm gonna let you guys into a little secret on my program, right? So write your 5 strengths down, and then whatever, if this is in business, then write your 5 values down.
Yes.
Because your values are the key underlying factor that are going to drive you to get to the point of where you actually want to be. I may value freedom, but being which is one of my values actually, but being in a 9 to 5 to me does not sit aligned with my values. So that's why when I had a 9 to 5 or I had a job in hospitality that let's not even go into because it'll change my mood. I'm not looking forward to it. But you can tell from the expression of my face that didn't align with my values, right? If you are struggling for your purpose in anything, if it's in a relationship, if it's in your career, if it's in your whatever, if it's in your relationship, it's in your career, it's in your health and your wealth, go down and write your 5 key values, because then you're going to put that out to the universe, and that's going to bring you in alignment to what fills your values in that category of your world.
Yes, it does.
Another one.
But here's something that I tell my clients that I'll just chip in here and go a bit deeper.
Go for it.
Also write down 5 things that you're currently grateful for. Because if you're in that dark period, you may not realize that, hey, I'm grateful that I'm walking the earth today. I'm grateful I woke up this morning. I'm grateful that I can live and breathe. You know, if you're in that dark period, that's something I didn't do in the dark period, was express gratitude, something I do a lot now. Find 5 things that you're grateful for. You might have had the shittest day ever. You'll come home. It's like, well, you know, you don't have to harping on that one thing that happened. You might have woken up this morning. That might be the thing that you find, hey, that was a great start of the day. And then this dickhead cut me off in traffic. Well, what happened in the moments leading up to that dickhead cutting you off in traffic? You might have had the perfect start to the day, but you harp on that one thing. Express gratitude too.
Gratitude is imperative in my transformation.
Yeah.
And anybody will, you know what, I never like to generalize, but anybody that has had a transformation from negative to positive, I can almost guarantee they'll say they've had some form of gratitude, because it is so, it's actually nearly fucking impossible to be sad and grateful at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? You can be emotional, but can I sit there and be sad if I'm being like, you know what, right now, I'm grateful that the rain is here. I'm grateful to be sitting in this room on a camera that I can give impact out to the world and also talk to a legend of a bloke. I'm also grateful for the office that I'm sitting in. I'm grateful for that I can go up and pick up my phone and put something out there that's the world. It doesn't stop. And once you get good at this, you look at the little things that nobody else would look at.
Yes.
The typical things that nobody else can look at. And that gratitude will change the way you look at life. So like you said, Nathan, like I have been very slack on this lately. Actually, I'll be my truest self. At night, I used to do 5 things I was grateful for, and in the morning, I used to do another 5. That would be my first key. If you're in a dark place right now and you're listening to this, start with gratitude. I know it sounds a bit wooey, right?
No.
It sounds a bit wooey, but honestly, if you try it and don't gain anything from gratitude, I'll let you run my program for free.
Exactly.
That's my that's that's something else I live by is gratitude. I'm very glad you brought that up.
Writing and journaling work very, very, very well for me. And I had an awesome mentor say, Nate, just find 5 things you're grateful for and then just let it flow from there. Like I would go so deep in, I'm grateful for, waking up this morning. Then it's like, I'll just go deeper and deeper and just strip those layers back. Gratitude's just everything, man. Highest frequency too, they say. So very powerful.
100%. Extremely powerful. Like I said, I don't know where I'd be without gratitude. It'll open your eyes up to things that you've never even considered to be a part of your life before.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it comes, we'll tie this back into porn, right?
Yes,
if you start watching porn, you will find yourself so grateful for the fact of even holding a girl's hand, looking into the eyes of a woman.
Yes.
And then when we get deeper and deeper and deeper as well, it's like, and I did this in my relationship. It was like when you get rid of it for a while, the things, the feelings and the energy you can have, especially retenting, you will be so much more grateful for the feelings that come with the simplest thing as even locking eyes with a girl.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Because when you're watching the porn, when you're watching the porn, you won't have the confidence to even look that girl in the eye. But you stop watching it, you start pretending, and you'll go, "Oh,
there's no eye contact in porn, right?" It's like eye contact. Oh, over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, another tip for men out there: use eye contact.
Yeah,
eye contact is massive. For the first 9, actually, what am I? 22. I'm going to say for the first 21 years and 9 months, I could not look a woman in the eye, except for maybe my partner. But going out there now, and it's almost like this is another thing when it comes to worth. If you can look a woman in the eye and her be the first one to look away, that's so powerful, man. That's so powerful because that, like I said, the spiritual being comes back and the feeling, the emotional figure, she can feel that being like, okay, this guy's on something here. He can hold this. Not many men can do that. I'm kind of interested in this. Massive one, bro. So for men out there, okay, I'm gonna give you five. You know what? I'm gonna give you a couple and we'll see how many it is.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this right now and you are lacking confidence with women, the first thing I'm gonna tell you to do, put your shoulders back.
Yeah.
Second of all, first one, stand up tall. Second one, put your shoulders back, put your head back, and have a neutral spine. Every time you walk around, whether it's women, I want you to have a song playing that absolutely gets you fucking going. Some people, they love the I can't say his name again. The bald kickboxers theme song, whatever that is. I forget what it is.
That's all right.
I could sing it for you, but whatever. Me, at the moment, it's Leave Me Alone by Fred again. If you can be thinking of that song in your head, or even just start off to have headphones in, walk around with that flowing through you, that hype. And the fifth one is eye contact. Even for men, drop your ego out of it, right? This is something that I'm dealing with as well. Not dealing with, something that I'm going through.
Yep.
Eye contact for men, right? It's not an ego thing. It's not to be better than the other person, but eye contact is so powerful because it's so rare, especially for women.
It is at the moment.
Especially for women. That is my top 5 right now. That is something we go through in my program, but there's your 5 free tools, especially when it comes to women. That will change your life. Trust me.
Powerful, bro. Eye contact is powerful. And even just if you want to just generalize it with the population your age. This is interesting. I was talking to a woman yesterday who's been working in sales and retail for like 50 years, and she's never seen the amount of young people that even work in these clothing stores and that don't look they're scared to communicate with customers. Yeah. They're even scared to look them in the eye. Mm-hmm. She's like, I value eye contact, Nathan. I'm like, you're telling me that for a reason, but it's like, yeah, eye contact, bro.
Eye contact is massive because not only there's something on a deeper level about looking into a woman's eyes, but not only Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. But not only that, it's like you can. For me, it adds a little bit more excitement to it. The eye contact makes a little bit more excitement and brings up new feelings for you that you've never experienced before.
Yeah.
And it brings a lot of worth. If you can hold eye contact with a woman as well, it's like, okay, that is some big dick energy right there. It's massive.
Mate, we could talk for the next, like, we've been going on nearly an hour already. Like, we could talk for the next 2 hours. Like, we've just had
Easily.
sounds like a very
Easily.
similar story to mine. It's just,
Yeah.
it's awesome to see more of these young ones like you just grabbing that best version of you and just going for it. It sounds like your transformation was super quick too, which is even more powerful.
I don't want to say quick. I think like in terms of like my age, I think that's why you may look at it
Lack
as
of a
quick.
better term.
like of course, right? And everything's a spectrum of the meaning we hold to it. I think for me, right, I would say in a way it was quick. I remember my degree, dude. I was the youngest by far. Everybody in my degree was mid-40s, late 50s, late 60s, and I took that as a negative connotation for a long time. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you worthy of
This is the one-on-one Mitch Durden that I can give to people listening right now. Is I'm young and have the experience, have the qualifications, and have the degree that no one my age has. No one. Hand on heart, no one has. So everybody used to look at me and be like, oh, you're young. Yeah, I am. Because I worked on myself and went through the shit to get to the other side. I figured it out. But also, man, it was years of suffering, and years. And that came at the best time for me. But so in terms of quick, yeah, because I absolutely hated going with the life that I was living. And I figured out there was another way. And I went through it. Went through the tough times, man. You have to.
so many gems, such a beautiful story, mate. I've got a couple of questions left.
Yeah.
First one I ask all my guests, and the advice is always just so good. If there is you might have already said it, you can re-say it if you want to. If there's a young man watching this, mate, doesn't matter how old they are, because there's still men that are a bit older than us that are still doing these things too, and then they actually have a female partner or a wife and kids, right? If there's a man watching this, right, and they're like, yeah, what Mitch and Nate talking about today is really just sunk in. If there's one piece of advice for that man to go away and start their transformation journey, what would that piece of advice be if they're stuck at the moment? You might have already said it.
There's so many.
I know, isn't there?
Right one. I'm gonna compact this into a couple of different things. The first one being, you are the most important person in this world, and you have one life. It is a super cliche, but you can either stay stuck, or you can look out for other opportunities and work and spend time working on yourself. The second part of that is community is so important, right? Reach out to people. It is not weak to speak. It may just save your life, and it may just change the person that you are right now. If you are struggling, I will promote a self-plug here. Mitch Durden Mentality on Instagram. Shoot me a message. Nathan Francis for another one. Shoot him a message. There are people out there that actually give a fuck about you, that don't even know you, and want to make a genuine impact in this world. Without being vulnerable and giving a little bit into your story and where you are, it is very difficult for you to move. So find a person that you're comfortable with, speak, even at the lowest level of frequency, say, hey, I'm not feeling great. Okay, let's talk. Let's talk about it. That's the first step. Is being aware that you are not okay, and learn from it and get shit done. That's my advice for anyone being stuck or in a tough place right now.
That's powerful, bro, and that's an awesome way to finish. But there was a question I had for you that I should have asked way back when, so we'll have to just throw it in here now. This is just the beauty of this podcast. When you went through all these changes, mate, did your friendship group change? Like, I know for me, mine did.
Yeah. Oh
is how we'll
my
finish. We'll finish
goodness.
on this. Yeah, this little topic.
Can you tell from the can you tell from the reaction of that? Oh my Lord, man.
Yeah,
The people listening, if they're listening to this, they know who they are.
yeah,
And unfortunately, when you change, you will have to leave people behind.
yeah,
And that is only to become the better person that you have already set out your goal to be. Right? Some people will want to move with you. Some people don't. So you have to distinguish between, okay, can I bring this person with me? Or are they going to bring me more negative than actually putting in the work, giving an energy to somebody else rather than myself? To answer your question, Nathan, bro, my friendship from what it is now, my group of people and my tribe in comparison to when I was 17, 18, holy shit, right? Completely different. The people that are in my life, they know who they are and they're there for the reason, right? But they also reflect of the worth and the love and the care and the presence that I bring into my life, right? You attract what you are
100%.
through men, through women, through relationships, through business, through health, through wealth. So yes, my relationships, my tribe has been thrown into the wood chipper and shaped back in another completely different, into a different object, to say the least. Yes, work on yourself. People will notice and people will come with you or will stay where they are, and that is okay.
And it's accepting that too. It's accepting that some of these people, it's the acceptance as well. It's like you go through like a grief process. I know I did. Yeah.
It's hard, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to leave people behind, especially when they've been in your life for a while.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, those decisions to leave might just make you a better person.
Exactly. Mate, we could keep going, honestly. I thank you so much for everything that you shared today, Mitch. You're an incredible 22-year-old man. Like, I am so grateful. My brother just chucked something on your Instagram, mate.
That's it. That's all it takes.
Mate, I'm really proud of this podcast today. I'm just going to tell everyone I'm so proud of this one today. This was an awesome one. I'm looking forward to putting this out there, Mitch. Thank you so much, man. For everyone out there listening and watching, Mitch, where can people find you, mate?
At Mitch Durden Mentality on Instagram, on TikTok. I also have my own podcast, The Mitch Durden Mentalities. I believe Nathan will leave it in the show note captions. If not, Mitch Durden Mentality on Instagram, on TikTok. Instagram would be the best place to contact me. You can also find my email and my number on there as well. So
beautiful, man.
Nathan, thank you so much.
No worries, bro. Thank you for everything you shared today. That was an awesome podcast. So many gems in there. This has been the Breaking Free podcast. Nathan Francis, your host, signing off. I'll see you guys again soon. Some more awesome guests. I reckon Mitch is coming back on. That we're going to do a part 2 of that. That 100%. Was incredible.
Let's do it. 100%.
All right. Thanks for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. Always reach out and ask for help, and I'll see you guys again soon. Cheers.